It's the Dear Auntie podcast with your favorite aunties, Carm and Co.
Talk to me. What's going on with you?
You need advice, and they've got the answers. Auntie gon' keep it real.
Hey, Auntie. Hey, Auntie. Hey, Auntie.
This is the Dear Auntie podcast.
You are tuned in with your two favorite aunties, except we got a third auntie in the building.
The OG auntie.
Damn right.
Please introduce yourself to our Dear Auntie listeners.
I am LaTanya Taylor, affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the Priestess of Purpose, Pleasure, Passion, and Profit.
Ooh, that was a mouthful.
Let's
You
drink
did
to
that.
Where's your drink,
Where's my
Carmen?
cup? Okay. I got a little bit left.
She got a little slick.
And auntie.
So, LaTanya, I am so excited to have you on this platform. After our first conversation on Girls Stop Playing, it went crazy because the aunties are missing in the Black community, which was the whole motivation behind even starting this podcast.
Really?
Yeah, because the aunties to me were like the safe space. And I mentioned to you, I didn't have that safe space. And so it's my mission to be that safe space for other women. So thank you for being here.
I just love that about you. I'm honored to be here.
Of course.
Yes.
So we're going to start this episode with a little wellness check, okay? Because it's so important as we are just life be lifing, right? As we are out here going through the daily grind, a lot of times we don't give ourselves the grace or space to just pause and really tune in and figure out like where you are. So, Carmen, let's start with you.
Oh boy. How did I
Scale
know?
of 1 to 10 for this season. Okay, not today, because the day might have been a little rough.
Okay.
But for the season that you're in, 1 to 10, what would you say?
You know what? Last time you asked me this question, I think I said a 4.5.
You did.
And I'm proud to announce that I'm now at a 6.
Come on, 6. We'll take it. I will drink to that.
Won't he do it? Yeah, things are going better. I'm feeling better. I am like starting a detox next week and just like eating better and getting back on my routine, working out and stuff like that. So, I wasn't in a
Things
good
are on the
place
up
a
and
few
up.
weeks ago. Yeah.
So, okay, we're turning it around.
Yeah, 6.
Auntie, how about you?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, I would say I'm hovering between a 7.5 and an 8.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What makes it not just an 8?
What would make it an 8 would be a vacation or
I know that's
And I
right.
don't even like, because I don't live a life that I need to vacate from, but I do believe in time outs. And so I could use a time out. And then, always a little coinage would take it
Come
to
on,
a
a little
10.
coinage.
We love a good coin.
Auntie loves a little coinage,
Yeah,
okay?
rich auntie.
Rich auntie vibes.
Yes, exactly. That would take it to a 10
Okay.
because I am living the life that I prayed for.
Oof.
I'm seeing my prayers take on flesh. And so that makes me slow to complain because I prayed for the business, the creativity that I'm having right now.
They say you can't, you can't pray, what is it? You can't
Who
pray
knows this?
for.
But I'm going to back you up, whatever you
Damn,
say.
what is it? It's like you can't. Forget it.
Yeah.
Cut that out, Ty. Well, I'll come back with the quote next week.
What is
Shit.
it? If you
What
worry,
is
don't
it?
pray.
It's
Pray,
something,
don't
it's
worry.
something like
believe
you
it,
can't complain
you can
about.
achieve it.
You prayed for this, but you complaining about that. Basically,
absolutely.
We'll get
Yes,
to
so
you.
I'm very careful about that.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say for me, I played it safe last time and said 7.
Yes.
I'm gonna say 8.
Oh, we went up.
We went up. We went up because, girl. So I've been in the Airbnb business since 2016. That shit is stressful as hell.
Is it?
But we just sold our last 2 properties. I will take 2 high fives,
Yes.
one from you
Hey.
and one from
Boom.
you. Thank you. So I am feeling like things are on the up and up.
Good.
We have lightened the load. Look, my husband. He was really running that shit, okay? I was doing the secretary work, but he was doing the manual labor. And I am so thankful that we have closed that chapter. So I'm
Good
at
for
8.
y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we'll take an 8. 8
We'll
is
take an
great.
8. Let's do it.
8 is
8
great.
is great.
8 is great.
All right, we ready. What is Auntie over? We're moving into our Auntie is over it. So LaTanya, you're gonna have to think of something you are just sick and tired of. Okay, we're gonna let you go last though because
Okay.
you were not prepared.
Okay.
So Auntie Carmen,
Yes.
what the hell are you over this week?
This week, I am completely over TikTok dances. I can't take another dance. I don't want to see another dance. I am completely over. I might be over TikTok. I don't know.
Were you ever into it?
I think in the last
Pandemic.
dance I was really into was the Soulja Boy dance back in the day when he was doing that and everybody was, but after exactly see OG Auntie knows what I'm talking about.
So what is happening
That was
in front of me?
That was the dance that was the first and last dance that I was like, okay, besides the electric slide.
So you were never doing TikTok dances?
Never cared about
During the pandemic, no.
It was corny to me, and I just was like,
Girl,
over
call me
it.
corny code because I was on there like one,
And
two,
I just
what I
was
gotta do?
over
with her.
it.
I'm with
How
her.
many more dances can we do?
I can't take any more, so I'm not doing that anymore. But pandemic, stay at home orders, me and my girls was doing
And guess
those
what?
dances.
You're going to be doing in a few years? TikTok dances
With my
with your
children.
children,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I see when the children hold their parents hostage on TikTok and make them do dances
But
every
guess
day.
what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be holding them hostage. I already be telling my son, "This how you do it, baby. You gotta do this. You gotta do this."
So
I'ma
you're
be
that
holding
girl.
them. I'm that girl. You come in my video,
God.
baby. That's a good one though.
I hate it.
TikTok can be overwhelming. TikTok, you will get lost in a rabbit hole so quick,
Truly
so
will.
fast. I am personally over the plays. I'm tired of y'all trying to run these plays. I'm tired of y'all.
Now, what is a play?
This is, you got to run the play.
Okay, well, I'm going to listen.
You got to run the Airbnb play. You got to run the Turo play. You got to start the tax business. You have to. That's the play.
That's a good
You got to
one.
do infinite banking. You got to. I'm tired of running the plays because guess what? The plays have run out and they ain't told you that.
And the plays are playing you.
The plays are playing you.
And by the time we get the play, it's already outdated.
It's
Because they
played
played
out.
your ass. Exactly.
By the time our community gets it,
It's over
Yeah.
with.
It's usually
It's
already
played out.
old.
Yes.
Man.
So please stop following the foolishness, okay? Is the guru making money doing the thing he's trying to teach you to do, or is he just making money off of you?
Ooh.
That's the question, but we're gonna move along. Auntie Latanya, what you tired of these days?
I am over us having thought pieces on everything that's
my
happening in the
gosh.
culture and not. We major in minor things.
I am so sick of it.
I'm over us majoring in minor things. So, I mean, the
What's an
latest-
example?
Kiki.
Oops.
Kiki.
Whoops. We just did a whole think piece on that one. You know, the world is
I'm
giving
just-
us so much to talk about.
Yeah. But
And
making
twerking.
Yeah.
something out of nothing. Talk more about that.
I'm just like, come on, black women. Like, we know how to dance and move our hips and our shoulders and other things.
Other than that
and
ass.
Other than
That
your
ass.
ass.
Well, twerking is almost like saying hello these days.
Is
yeah,
it?
and
Hi,
that's
my
why
name is-
That's why
Okay.
I'm over it.
Pop it like it's hot.
And
That's the
us
thing.
not knowing where and when to do it and how to use it in service to your vision.
Ooh.
And not just to use it.
Now, how
in
would
a
I
lo-
use that a twerking in the service of my vision?
Teach us your ways, juicy auntie.
Like what kind is this podcast after dark?
It's
Auntie after
born-
dark?
Okay. Ooh.
Come on, auntie. After
Yeah.
that, we gotta be trademark that.
Dim the
Okay.
lights a little
I mean,
bit.
because twerking is born from our spiritual center. You know, we it's really very African in nature, very tribal in nature, where you did it in ceremony. And so now we take things that are sacred and make it profane.
Come on, history.
And so and we do that with many things when we're uneducated. So when you are really a feminine, using your P power, using your yoni power, and you want to heal yourself, this is a portal. And so it's medicine. And so you can use that medicine in service to your vision, in service to your pleasure, in service to bringing you higher, to raise your vibration. But when you just up there just doing it for no reason at all, then other people can attach reason to it.
Wow. I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you on, I do believe people should be able to express themselves how they want to express themselves. But when I saw it on the Essence stage, I'm
Yeah.
not going to lie, I was like, okay, is this Lollapalooza? Is this Vibe Awards? Where are we? And that's kind of how I felt about
That's
it.
how I felt.
But Cole, it seems like you have another opinion.
No, I don't have another opinion.
Okay.
think, was it at the concert? I don't know what you're referencing.
They do different stages. So Meg Thee Stallion, of course, she twerks,
Okay,
and that's
okay.
just her thing, which is that's
And she
fine.
had girls come up on the stage.
I just have to say, I kind of was shocked when I saw it on the Essence IG page.
It was
because
shocking.
remember, we know Essence as like
Up here, we hold them to a higher.
we just know them as a
Because
higher.
Gen X
Yeah.
created it, laid
That
the
part.
foundation for it,
Yeah.
and so now what are we doing here? That was my reaction, and when I saw it, I said, "Oh my goodness, we are having a cultural crisis. Womanhood is in trouble."
Did you see the clip of the girls twerking outside of the slave?
No, say
Oh
what
yes,
now?
that too.
Where were they? I don't want to say it
It
wrong.
was supposed to be
Like-
like a slave dungeon
That
castle.
yes. So they're outside like conjuring up the answer. I don't know what they was doing.
No, they wasn't conjuring. The
What was they doing,
ancestors. They
Auntie?
would. I don't know. They were just twerking. That's what I'm saying. No meaning or anything at all.
It reminds me of like the protest twerking. Y'all remember that when they was twerking in front of the police? Back
I've
in
erased
20?
it from
Come
my
on.
memory.
That slipped your
wow.
memory.
I
Okay,
don't-
so let's
I
get
missed
into
that.
Auntie would never. Obviously, Auntie would never twerk down at the Essence Fest stage. Auntie would also never, and my Auntie would never this week came from the internet streets because there's a post going viral of a lady. Count your days, lady, because that man is going to leave you. Let me tell you. Homegirl is married, right? To a man, a physician that was earning, I think, between $500,000 and $700,000 per year. Lost his job. The only job he could find was paying him what? $250,000 per year. Homegirl said, what? I don't know what to do, y'all. I got to leave my husband because he's working this little old job making $250,000 a year. I don't want him to get comfortable
$250,000
making this little $250,000 a year, so I'm going to have to leave his ass. Auntie would never. I personally understand that people go through seasons.
Yeah.
That I might be winning in this season, but next season it might be a drought.
Okay.
Hello.
I don't want anybody to leave me based on a bad decision I might have made, based on a bad investment that went bad, based on me losing access. That's not a reason to leave someone, in my opinion. So Auntie would never leave someone, definitely not my husband, based on something frivolous like money.
Now, would it have changed if the number dropped a little bit lower? Because that's $250K is $250,000.
It is.
Right?
So sis, what are we talking about?
So if the dividends had dropped lower to, let's say, $45K.
I'm not leaving my man.
Okay, just checking, just trying to.
Because
if
I'm
it
gonna
had dropped
figure out how
nothing?
to exactly. I'm not leaving my man. We gonna figure out how to make it
Okay,
something.
all right.
Yeah, because there can be a season where it drops to nothing, especially
Very
if you're a
true.
business owner or
Or you have health
Or
issues
you
and
have-
you can't earn money
you have health issues.
for sickness
Which
and for
I know
health.
something about. I mean, when I met my husband, he was not 100%. He was recovering,
Okay.
and he lost a family because of
So the
losing
same thing.
income. Yeah.
I just think, especially, I know we're talking to black women. I hate black girl. I just think it's so much pressure on black men anyway that for me, your black woman, to add an extra layer of pressure on top of what you're already putting on yourself, on top of what the world is putting on you, I'm not doing it. So,
Yeah.
Agreed.
Auntie would never. Carmen, what you got? You got to think of one, Auntie.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with you. I just think that that's kind of shallow.
And shady.
And it's very selfish. You're not considering your partner at all in that scenario. And it just kind of seems like you're just there for the money.
That part.
You're just there for the ride. What are you bringing to the table? What are you
'Cause
contributing?
what's your income,
Yeah,
sis?
like I don't understand that at all.
How about that?
And so yeah, for me it's gonna be a no. I'm definitely sticking with my partner because, like you said, life happens sometimes. So
And I might be down, so hold me
yeah,
down.
and I want you to hold me
Hold me
down
down.
when I'm down
Exactly.
to the ground. Okay.
So what's your auntie would never?
My auntie would never I would never be a pick-me.
What is a pick me?
What is a pick
The
me?
reason, so the
What-
reason
define
why,
it for us.
when you were talking, I heard Spirit say, "Oh, there's somebody out there that's gonna say she's a pick me."
People call me that, and I don't even know what it means.
Whenever
They call you that?
whenever you
Yes.
say something
Pull up on
in
her.
favor of standing with black men, is a population of women who say that you are a pick-me.
I've
that
seen
you'll
it.
do anything to be picked and chosen by a man.
Newsflash, I've already been picked and chosen. What are we
Period.
talking about? Serious,
And me too.
So that's
but,
why I feel like I didn't understand what it meant, because how could I be a pick-me if I'm a married woman?
But what sense does that make when there are podcasts galore talking about dating, the state of dating?
Mm-hmm.
So when you go on a date, what are you doing? You're choosing. But
You
the
wanna
choo-
be chosen.
You
Picking
want
and
to be
choosing.
you want to be chosen, and he wants to be chosen. If he doesn't want to be chosen, then that's not your mate.
Exactly.
So what are you doing? So we're sending so many contradictory messages. And so I could never be in the consciousness that I'll do anything to be chosen by somebody. So that's what this auntie could never.
Thank you.
that's
I
right.
could never be a pick-me from a place of a piece of man is better than no man at all.
Ooh, because we got the whole man up in here. Thank you.
Yes, Lord.
You know, that's what the old folks used to say.
Yeah.
There
No.
are some of our generation that did believe in a piece of man is better than no man at all.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
And so we just put a new, term on it, pick me, but that's could never.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of women are doing that because they feel like the pickings are slim and they got to get theirs before somebody else gets, the man or whatever. And so they're going to take what they can get.
That's a mindset.
Like you said. But to your point, I'd rather just be alone, living my best life. If
Or
I got to
have
do all
options.
that. Yeah. Or have options. Yeah.
What about options?
Yeah.
Like you have options.
You do have options. And why are you worried about my options? That's the other thing I don't get is
Hello.
what I eat don't make you shit. Why are you worried about what I'm doing over
What I
here?
got going on over
I mean,
here.
seriously, I never understood you coming onto somebody else's page and telling them what you think about what they're doing. That
Yeah,
is
because that's
living
the
in
era we're
weird.
living in.
Yeah, glass houses.
Everybody, and this is another episode that we can talk about social media and how it's affected our culture, but this is just a little snippet of it. Everybody feels like their opinion is valid.
law. It's law.
And it's just not. I hate to break it to everyone. We saw it with COVID and everything else. Everybody became an expert during that time. And everybody became, every time there's a national crisis, you can see it where everyone's all of a sudden studied in this field. And it's like,
you're not, actually.
and you're just not. And your
Right.
opinion isn't valid in this scenario.
Right.
But you are entitled to your opinion.
You're entitled to
you
it.
You just keep it over there.
You're definitely
Don't put your
entitled
opinion
to
off on
it.
other people is my problem.
But does it have value in this scenario?
Or you're entitled to your opinion, and so is the other person.
Right.
And
Hello.
I do think that the social media, or just perhaps just not having conflict resolution skills.
Yes.
That a lot of people who are desensitized through these electronics break down when someone disagrees or offers
Yes.
another view, another opinion. So we're not having curious conversations.
Ooh, I like
You
that.
know, we're-
Curious
we're-
conversation.
right, where we explore. Okay, well, what do you think? Oh, well, why do you think
And
that?
what do you
no, it's
mean
like
by
I'm going to
that?
attack you
I'm gonna
as
attack
soon
you.
as you
Yeah.
tell me what
I'm
you
gonna
think.
judge you. I'm gonna shame you.
How
tell
did you
you why
come
it's
to that
wrong.
conclusion?
Yeah.
And things are based on our life experiences, how
Right.
we were raised, and all that good stuff. So, to your point, we should be able to agree to disagree when it
Right.
comes to certain topics.
Agreed.
Exactly.
What's your auntie would never, Carmen?
My auntie would never is again probably a controversial one, but our auntie would never come out of the house with a PJs and a bathrobe. I just would never do that.
Do people do that?
I've seen it. I saw it. I actually saw a case of it
Was that-
last
you've seen
week
that?
in the grocery store.
Airport.
I sure have. Yeah.
I did. So I saw somebody in the airport last week, and my immediate thought was, "Isn't this the public?"
It doesn't
'cause
matter
it's like you
anymore.
are preserving a hairstyle for
It doesn't matter.
something.
It doesn't matter anymore.
What is the something? Because this is the
I'm
airport.
sorry. I'm with Auntie Mo on this. Auntie Monique. They tried to drag her through
They
the
did
mud
when she told them little girls, take them
when
down.
she said it. But here's my take. I'm just never going to leave my house in my PJs, clothes that were designated for
The bedroom.
the bed, just like I don't leave with slippers on my feet because they belong in my home. And the fact that can be, I guess it could be argued, but I just feel like the same amount of effort it takes for me to throw on some pajamas, I can throw on some leggings and a shirt.
Not if you roll out the
and
bed.
some
That don't take
sneakers.
no effort.
Well, you're right about that.
With the bonnet on your head.
You're right about that, sister. I forgot.
But I feel like the culture that we live in, to your point about Monique, you attack the person trying to provide a solution. That's the part I don't get.
And it's genuine, real advice. It's like,
and it's truth.
And it's truth. And it's to your benefit, because you could say, well, how does that impact you? Well, the things that people do and how people show up in society impacts our society as a whole, because it begins to permeate throughout society, right? So if everybody just walked outside, this is an extreme example, with their tits out everywhere. Right. Just plain.
You're right. And as a older auntie, you know, I do think, to your point, right, like, we have to become more vocal. You know, I really mean, I believe womanhood is in trouble because we've been silenced through the protests. So when somebody like Monique says something, she gets called names and dismissed.
No correction. You can't correct me.
You can't correct me. You Auntie, you stay over there with
Mind your
old
business.
ass.
That's why you canceled now.
Exactly. And so what? I think that to my Gen X sisters, we cannot criticize and not offer some type of solution. I don't want to be that, because we came from that. We came from baby boomers and silent generations who judged us, sometimes put us out the house if we didn't go along with the flow. So I don't want to do that, right? Just to criticize. Monique was really offering solutions.
And it's not just about criticism. When you live in community, right?
Oh, yes.
Because everybody wants to talk about community and sister and sis, right? You can't be sis if you're not in community.
If we're not in community,
if I can't correct you, if I can't offer you feedback, if I can't say, in order to be in community with me, I need this from you, and this is what I'm willing to give to you.
Yes. No, because you're a hater then.
That's good. You're a hater.
Real. Seriously.
You're this, you're that. You're anti-black. I heard that. You're anti-black if you don't agree that I shouldn't be out in my pajamas. I'm talking to everybody, not just black women.
Nobody should be out in pajamas, but black women, I do care about y'all extra.
I care about you more, but that goes for everyone.
Yeah.
So we had a conversation on our very first episode, which inspired this conversation, because we were talking about adult friendships.
Yes.
That shit is hard as hell. Yeah. And I mentioned that I specifically have challenges with adult friendships because I have mommy issues. And then you came to mind. So because the work that you do is so impactful. I don't know if you even mentioned like the work that you do. Did you mention that?
I didn't. I mean,
so mention it just a little bit, and then I'm gonna ask you the first question. In terms of like the counseling, the therapy, like that part of it, so that they know that you got some credentials for these questions I'm about to ask you.
So, you know, I work in the field of transformational psychology, right? Which is a blend of spiritual psychology and transformational tools that have been time tested, you know, and adapted through some of our traditional ways of seeking therapy. It's more alternative.
Gotcha.
And I do that through also soul work and rites of passage for women, and lots of workshops and training for women, you know. But I come from a culture of women who didn't have a term like this before, right? So that's the work I've done, and some of you seen my work on Iyanla Fix My Life. A lot of the legacy season of Iyanla Fix My Life, I'm proud to say, is a lot of my work.
Put some respect on her name is what we basically trying to say over here, okay? So a lot of us have mommy issues, right? I think we've previously talked about the fact that, you know, a handful of my friends, we both have very similar relationships, I don't want to say strained relationships with our mothers, but we've matured and evolved and realized that we don't have the healthiest relationships with our mothers. What are some ways that mommy issues can be displaying themselves that we might not even realize these are mommy issues?
Okay, that's a really good question. First, I think that in the culture, we don't give black women permission to even say that they have a strained relationship with their mother.
Because you can't talk bad about your mama now.
Right. Yeah. So there's the self-correcting. So that means that oftentimes black women have internalized issues that they have never expressed, and this shows up first in relationships with other women, or women in authority. So it can show up when you're on the job, right? So,
oh my gosh.
She just revealed something for you, didn't she?
Yeah, we can talk about it later. But I just flashed back to different employees, and I'm like, wow, we'll talk about it.
I have mommy issues. What the hell? Okay, keep going. That's why I asked this question.
It can show up in your health.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't talk about it, but depending on the messages that you received from mommy and the mothers, we have a lot of infertility issues in our culture that we do not talk about as well. I know that there are a lot of programs around teenage pregnancy and promiscuity. Help me out.
Promiscuity.
Yeah, help Auntie out.
We got you.
So I know that there are those programs, but there's also those who have been good girls, followed all the rules, and still life throws them a curveball, and then they don't know how to be in marriages. They don't know how to be in relationships. And mainly it's hidden because it's in the self. Because mommy shows you how to identify, have your identity, identify with yourself, your truth. Daddy shows you how to express that out in the world.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah. So mommy issues can show up in your money, particularly if you're a business owner. It can show up how you do business.
Girl, how it show up, girl?
We need to know.
Right.
So mommy is a money portal.
Uh-oh. Take a sip.
So if you so think about it like this. You know you're a mother. You know that there's a transference that happens. That umbilical cord is more than physical. And so if your mother carried you, every thought that a mother thinks, every emotion that she feels is transferred through the womb into that baby she's carrying. So if she's in survival mode, if she's being shamed by her family because she got pregnant, depending on what generation she comes from, that child internalizes that. Because I ask myself, how is it that millennials are so focused on the bag? What is it that happened that made them be driven to the point where a lot of you all are burnt out? You are
very.
Hello.
I was just
It
talking
is
about
me.
going to Sedona
Yeah, that's me.
a few episodes ago.
you're burnt out because they've been chasing the bag. But what happened prior to that? What was the generational message that sparked that on the inside? And so there had to have been some survival consciousness or some neglect somewhere. But once again, we don't give our sisters permission to be in a space to say, I'm not really feeling that with mom. And it's easy to identify daddy. The daddy that wasn't
Publicly.
there. It's easy to call out daddy. And so now, once again, to your point about black men, so now we attack black men. We have the Post and others writing articles about absentee fathers and all of that. And so now that becomes our narrative and our defense mechanism. But what about all the black men that were there?
I had a very present father.
As did I.
Very present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it'll show up in your money. It'll show up in your sexuality. Because if mommy didn't have a healthy relationship with her yoni,
Ooh, Lord.
just because a woman is having children does not mean that she's orgasmic.
Oh, my.
Oh, no. We got that. High five. I'm juicy. I thought she was talking about something else. We good with that. Okay, go ahead. I'm over here diagnosing myself. Like, let me confirm I got mommy issues. But I'm not checking that box. Go ahead.
Also, that the level of rejection, like if you are afraid to be really intimate and to be vulnerable, that's usually a deeper issue as well.
So that's actually how this even came up, is we were talking about the fact that I have very surface level friendships. I have like 2 friends that like know me, you know, like they know where the bodies are buried. I don't have those type of relationships with many people though, because I got trust issues stemming from my mommy issues. I've been able to identify that. So for the people who might be able to identify, okay, mommy issue, we got that. What do we do with this? What do we do about
kudos
it?
to you for even identifying it and knowing that that's where it stems from.
Girl, my mama crazy
Good
as
for
hell.
you.
It's not hard to identify.
Well, hey.
Hey, mama. She's not going to watch, but go ahead.
I mean, the reason why I can speak to it is because I had to do my own work. And I started with daddy, you know, because I consider myself to be a daddy's girl. So after I did all of these years of work to clear daddy, then when I started I was married again. Another thing is a lot of times when we're looking for security, it's easy to say you're looking for security if you're in a heterosexual relationship because of daddy issues. But sometimes it can also be dual. It can be daddy and mom. So we don't talk about the child that feels motherless and fatherless. But you might know who your mother and your father is, but you still feel
disconnected.
Huh. Yeah. Usually it's also a big breakdown in between women. Usually that's where you first know it. The other thing is when you hear women say, "I don't fool with too many women." Red flag number one.
Defense mechanism.
We were at that brunch together where I met you at, actually, and someone stood up and said,
Every woman.
"Yeah, I don't usually get along with women." And I have always had women empowerment, like it's always been my thing. But personally, I know there's always, not always, because I can get along with women, but there's a certain archetype. There's a certain type of woman, like when you mentioned the employers, the women in authority, there's a certain type of woman that I already know. Like if she come over here, she's going to have to go back over there. Like, I know that.
Describe
so
her.
for that to be a conversation in that room, though, room of powerful, high-earning, high-achieving women, we got mommy issues.
Big time.
Wow.
What the hell do we do about it all the time? What do we do about it?
Well, first, you say it out loud, and you got to interrupt the pattern. You have to interrupt the pattern. So if you don't trust, you have to put yourself in situations to reprogram your relationship with trust. You have to be able to do that and work through it. It's not always easy because it really does look like it's the other person. The other thing is when you get deeper into the work is when you can see yourself in the mama that you don't get along with, when you can see everything that you don't like about your mother in yourself, that is when the real work begins.
Girl, I was cringing yesterday because I did something and I'm like, oh shit, that is my
Like,
mama
there she
right
go.
there.
There she
There
go.
she go.
Yeah,
She is.
man.
Because see, another, I'd say a yellow flag is when you say stuff like, I ain't gonna never do that. You setting yourself up. I'll never be like my mama. Even for men who say I'll never be like my dad. So what will happen is you'll begin to martyr yourself in order not to be like one of the parents, or you'll overcompensate so much thinking that you're not like them and you're just like them.
And you're not giving yourself a chance to naturally evolve and to course correct, right? So say that you are experiencing something or you do become just like your mom or dad, right? You don't have the opportunity to go back and correct that because you're fighting so hard to try to go the opposite way.
Yeah. So for me, my flag was criticism. So like if I was working with women who are very critical, that set off alarms on the inside. The other, so sometimes it's not overt. It's also something going on inside of you where alarms go off and you raise that wall. So there will be alarms that will go off when I had to work in a situation where I felt like I was going to be extremely criticized because my mother was critical. She would say anything out her mouth.
Oh
to
my.
this day. But that is also generational.
Bringing up some things for me right now.
Not us being in therapy on this episode.
Thank you for this. No, I feel you. And I was thinking about it in the sense of my employees, some of my employees that I've had in the past, where I would just say the slightest thing, like try to give them some sort of correction or feedback, and they would take it as an attack or a personal assault on their character. I'm just like, no, I just need you to correct this line in the verbiage, right? But even thinking about that for myself, my mother, I always used to joke with her, I'm like, you're my biggest critic and my biggest cheerleader. Yeah. And I would say it affectionately to her. And I meant it that way. But thinking about it, the reason I said it is because she criticizes the hell out of me, you know, whether it be the hair or the weight or the whatever. And knowing that she doesn't do it from a bad place, but she still does it, right? And so even if it's showing, I think about it now, showing up in my marriage where if he corrects you, if I mop the floor and he says something about, I'm just, don't you say nothing about how I mop that floor.
Right.
I mopped the floor, didn't I?
It's mopped, right?
It's mopped, right? Okay.
That's what I'm talking about, the overcompensation.
Yeah.
Right? The overcompensation will show up as perfectionism. So I need to get it right so you don't have to say anything to me. And this society rewards that with grades first. So if I get good grades, then that way I don't get in trouble. I don't. Then for some people that works. Now, even though your mother may not have meant it in a harmful way, there are mothers that are abusive with their mouth. The same way they're abusive with their mouth with men, they're abusive with their mouth with children. And some of them come from a hardened generation that said certain things in a certain way, right? So it's either the compensation of I'm going to be perfect or I'll rebel. There are works that explain the different types of daughters from different types of mothers.
Ooh, where is this?
I need to see that.
Where do we find that?
I'll send it to you.
Please do, because oh my, I can't wait to read about myself.
Yeah, so there's different types. There's the daughter who rebels. And then
she is me.
Really?
Yeah.
You're the rebel?
I'm the rebel. Who else is it?
There's the daughter that complies.
Not me.
She's the one who will stay home, stay close to mom.
Oh no.
She'll know and see mom for what she is, but she dare not cross that threshold of offering that criticism.
Yeah, that's my sister.
The rebel is not. I'm gonna tell you about yourself, and you better. Yeah,
you tried the wrong one.
Yeah, and she gets as far as possible, and then there are gradations in between.
I was gonna say I'm like in the middle somewhere.
Yeah,
that's good. I think that we talk about like the love languages. This concept of the attachment styles is becoming popular now, but I'm all into like personality tests. We did a read. As much as I can learn about myself, the more aware you become of yourself, the more you can navigate this life that you're living. So that's so important.
I call it your blueprint.
Yeah.
And you said something that sent off a bell for me. So your love tank gets filled by words of affirmation.
Yes. How did you know?
How did you tell?
You're so good. Thank you. No, I love when I'm reaffirmed.
Yes.
And I don't know where that stems from. I guess mommy
Here it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Here I am in denial.
Here we are.
But yeah, like I love to be reaffirmed about the good things that I've done.
Right. And so that's what doing the inner work does, is now you're able to communicate that in your relationships.
Yeah.
Not just your relationships with a lover, a partner, but you're able to communicate that in your relationships with other women. You're able to communicate that in relationships with your children. I always tell women who I counsel when they have young daughters who are rebelling or just presenting something is she doesn't need your representative either. Your daughter does not need your representative. She needs to know your stories.
That you done did this same shit.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We don't know. I realize we don't know our mothers. A lot of us don't know our mother's stories.
Yes.
We don't know
As
our
women, we
grandmother's
don't know them as
stories, our
women.
aunt stories. Like we just know them as mom, as aunt, as grandma. And what I have started doing, like with my grandmother recently, is like recording her and asking her questions about her life. And I learned so much about everything that she's been through. I haven't quite gotten there with my mom because, again, we have kind of a bit of a strain. I don't want to say, and she might not even know this or feel this, but we do have a bit of a strain. We don't have that vulnerability there where I feel like I can sit her down and be like, hey, mom, tell me about your life.
She's a boomer though, right?
She's a boomer.
So there's individual psychology and then there is generational psychology. And so every one of us, we joke and we talk about it now. In fact, I was talking to my sister who's a boomer and she said, you all use all this language of millennial and Gen X. She said, I don't think like that. I don't talk like that. I said, no, that's a problem. Y'all don't,
That's you. That's the baby boomers. Exactly.
That's your generation.
Yeah, that's y'all.
Y'all don't talk about stuff. Y'all just decrete. And, so now you got Gen Xers like me who are just now doing therapeutic work to now out the stuff that you all didn't have a problem outing early because you had social media, you talk about it and call it out and that type of thing. But every one of the generations has a psychology. And how I know is on Fix My Life, we had to do a show. And on that show was silent generation, baby boomer, Gen X, Gen Z. All three we had to approach differently to deal with the family issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's why it's a strain with baby boomers because they kind of have a position you can't tell me anything.
They're tough to crack. They're tough to crack. And I just got to get this question in. I want to know, how do you broach that topic with your your mother, how do you make them aware that you feel that that you have mommy issues or that you guys have a strained relationship? How do y'all have that conversation?
Girl, we need professional help, please.
So it really does depend on the type of mom that you have. Because I heard you say that you ask questions. So sometimes direct questions don't work for silent gen and for baby boomers. Sometimes you have to ask for stories or give scenarios. Have you ever been in a situation that?
Yeah, I
good.
get that. I get that.
But when you go direct at them,
They're
it's
offended.
They tighten up.
Defense mechanism.
Right.
Yeah.
And silent generation just stored it so deep in their psychology because of the trauma. Some of them have so much trauma.
Now, silent generation is Gen X, as we know.
No.
What is that?
Silent generation is before baby boomers.
Oh,
Granny,
okay.
grandma.
Oh, okay.
Your
I didn't
grandma
realize
probably,
that.
right? Our grandmothers.
Yeah, that's the ones who lived in the Jim Crow South who had to keep
Suck it up.
Yeah, they had. Yeah.
Who you don't know nothing about.
Yeah. But they've been through so much.
They've been through so much. They swept it under the rug, and you better not talk about it. Don't mention
they've
it.
been through so much, and they did so much.
They was out there
They
doing.
had
Hello.
a family in down south and one up north.
Okay,
And
well,
grandma
on
had
one
all the baby
my
daddies.
grandma had 13 brothers and sisters, so do with that what you will. No, I agree. I think that dynamic when you talk about generations, it's hard to kind of have those conversations because everybody's style is so different and everybody's needs are so different. So figuring out how to have that conversation and accommodate everybody, I think, can be difficult.
I think you all are modeling exactly the how. Like, we have to have family dinners again, right? Like, if you all can do that, we can do that. And it doesn't always have to be with your blood family, but to get around food, that's science, that's art, that's culture, that's tribal. To get around, that's one of the simple ways that you can connect heart to heart, right?
Yeah,
and you
because I love to eat, and so
And
does
I
my
think
family.
our generation is starting to do more of the chosen family.
Yeah.
Thing, right?
Yes.
Because we
Yes.
aren't going back to our hometowns.
Right.
We aren't staying around the corner from our mom. So
Right.
because we are living in these little silos, it's like, okay, let me find my people.
Let me find my tribe.
Let me find my tribe,
That's
and
right.
this becomes your family.
That's right. Absolutely. My classmates and I just did the exact same thing the other day. And we were just saying we were going to be more intentional. And we're kind of like on the cusp of, feeling like you're obligated to that bloodline family. So I want to answer your question maybe with one or two more things.
Okay.
The other thing is sometimes we have to be the ones to go first and be vulnerable with our mothers and aunties to say that we've gone through something.
I can't do that.
Yes, you can.
Give
Paul.
one more. Give one more. I'm gonna try the last one. But that one wasn't for me.
Now, this is going to get heavy. I'm just going to use it because there's a woman out here that knows this. Can you imagine how many women have experienced violation and they don't tell their mother?
Yeah.
So
They think they're going to be
she's never
shamed.
gotten an opportunity
Or-
to even respond, right? Because you fear whatever they didn't do. So I'll get on and get off of it.
No, that's real though. I think we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to even have the conversations.
Yeah.
And I would like to be more open-minded towards my mother without just assuming how she will respond when I haven't even opened the gate to even try to have the conversation with her.
Girl, I opened the gate. That's why I made
You
that face. 'Cause
did?
my mama closed. She
Oh,
she didn't
no.
really close the gate. She didn't. I feel like changed behavior is everything.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I had invited my mom to therapy and everything, and we did not make it that far because between her agreeing and us ever being able to make it, we just had so many challenges that I felt like I'm
You
not
never
about to
even
do this
made it
with
to
you.
therapy.
Yeah, I'm not about to do this with
Now
you
that's
because I thought it was a
wise.
setup.
No, that's wise. Now, so when you have an unhealthy relationship, you don't put yourself in a compromising position to set. That's the martyrship.
Yeah, I'm
So
setting
you don't-
myself up,
you don't have
expecting you to change.
But that would be the final one. There are more, and I do this work for real.
I do this. I know that's right.
But what you just said is don't expect them to change would be my final one.
So how
It's
do you-
surrender that?
The toxicity, how do you finally make that final step to cut it
Boundaries.
off?
Boundaries.
Because that's so hard. I have a friend two friends actually, who they just really want to cut their mothers off,
Do it.
Girl, don't answer the phone. That's what I do.
but
Well-
they can't do it.
You can do it respectfully.
Yeah.
Now, I know that there are probably going to be some folks in my line, in my own line, my spiritual line, who don't agree with me because it shows up even in some of the cultural circles, that the traditional circles and African traditional circles and religion. You don't cut your mother off.
Yeah.
But if it's unhealthy, just like there are some mothers who need to cut daughters off because their abuse is abuse. If it's toxic, if you cannot you have to be able to let
You have to save
people
yourself.
be.
You have to choose. Just Cat Williams said you got to take care of your star player.
The great philosopher.
The great philosopher Cat Williams told us you got to take care of your star player. You can't be out here taking care of everybody else and not yourself. But it's so hard for us to see our mother as a woman and not just our mother.
As like a deity. Like you see them as like this. You can't
How
do
could
any
you
wrong.
do that to me?
And
You're
I-
supposed to
She
know
kinda
everything.
is, though.
Yeah.
So mother is really a spiritual representation of the divine. I'll
Okay.
just stop there.
School us.
Because then that's
Because you can go deep. Yes, we
you
know.
You know, I'll go deep with that. Like she represents a door. You know, in the Matrix, how there were many doors, and Neo had to keep on opening these doors. Your mother represents that. Once you get past that mother wound, it opens a whole world, a whole universe to you to be able to realize your power. But it is to connect you with a divine,
Your higher
yes.
self.
There's mother, and then there's mother.
Mother.
So is there a point or any situation where the best option is to surrender and just go separate ways?
It depends on whether if you've tried everything and if there is abuse and if a person has said, I'm not willing to do it. But you can still do the work to heal. See, our
Healing without the person. How do you do that?
Our work is
Yeah.
not contingent on the person acknowledging that they've been wrong. You do not. Your healing is not
'Cause it's your
connected.
work.
It's your work.
Yeah.
It's your freedoms. But what if you don't have them? They're not physically here. That is where you learn other things. In psychology, we call it Gestalt. There are techniques that you can do to do your healing work, to say what you need to say. And because we're energetic beings, the work still happens. I could tell you all a story. I don't know where we are on time, but I've done it with my father.
Tell us the story.
My father had told me that he wasn't going to have certain conversations with me.
Oh, wow.
Just shut me down. And and it would be ways my dad could just cut me off, and it cut through me because I am a daddy's girl. And so I started to do this work, and I learned how to do the work without him. And I did that work. You got to come to my workshops
Come on.
and trainings.
You got to
Yes,
pay. You got to pay to
definitely.
learn more, but
I did. I
Here's a
paid for it. And so I would do that work, and it's not quick, y'all. It's not a microwave. And one time I got robbed in DC. My father called me, and he said, "Why didn't you call me? Don't you know I'm always here for you?" And on the inside, I'm saying, "No, Daddy, I don't know that you're always here for me."
Wow.
But it opened a space that I created by doing my work. And we had a conversation that was on a cellular level. So much so, my father is no longer here, peace and blessings upon his spirit, that when my father left, I didn't have any regrets about the work that I did or what I needed to say to him or what I didn't say to him, because I did my work.
There you go.
And that's what frees you up. That's true liberation. So I say that, it's more important because grief can kill you. When you lose a parent and you didn't say what you needed to say, you didn't explore, you didn't ask questions, you didn't tell them that you had they hurt you. That's as important as it is to buy these Hallmark cards and
And we were just
Fake the
talking
funk.
about grieving living people. On the
Yes.
other, I said when we were talking about friendships, friendship breakups, is that sometimes you have to grieve people who are still alive, and that can be some of the hardest work that you have to do because they're still walking around, and you still have to accept the fact that they're no longer a part of your life.
It's hard.
And I can only imagine how hard that. I've done it, so I know how hard it can be.
That's hard for us, and it shows up in our friendships over and over again. Mommy doesn't just stop. So okay, you cut your mom off. If you don't do the work, it's gonna show up in your friendship
Mama coming back around. Yeah.
with your girlfriends, right? So I'm not one who believes in the cutoff easily. But I think your gen does.
We do. We be.
Y'all cut people off
Ain't
way
nothing
too
to cut
Cole,
easy.
she already said she's a ghoster. Me, I will give people so many chances.
She does. Carmen
Yeah,
gives
I
lots of
give
chances.
chance after chance
I
after
give
chance.
people
I was just in a conversation with
Yeah.
my Gen X crew, and they told every one of us had a millennial or Gen Zer that had cut us off because we did what you just said. You don't correct me. And so they cut us off. I personally have experienced a niece not speaking to me because she didn't like what to this day. It's the most painful
Nieces,
thing.
we got to stop doing that.
You gotta
we gotta
learn how to
stop
take
doing
correction.
that.
Correction with love.
Yes.
You gotta recognize correction versus criticism. I think
Or
that's
just
what it
not
comes down
agreeing
to.
with me, right?
Yeah, and that's okay.
Right. It's okay.
We don't have to
We
agree.
don't have to agree, but we're family.
Yeah.
And so that cutoff thing, y'all got
You gotta
to do
stop
better.
doing that.
I agree.
We working
I
on
think
it.
there
I'm trying
needs
to
to
heal.
be some atonement.
Yeah.
Just like Gen X owes you all space without criticism, you all owe us space without criticism. You all owe us the atonement.
And I'm old school and I'm from the country, so this
Okay,
might not
girl.
go over
Country
well.
girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think a little bit of deference is in order for
Yeah.
our generations, the boomers and the Gen Xers and the silent generation. A little bit of deference. Why? Because like my dad used to tell me, there's a difference between intelligence and wisdom.
Yeah.
You have done more than I have done, right? And so I just by that alone, I owe you a little bit more deference and in hearing what it is that you have to say to me. I've been there, you've been there and done that.
Yeah.
And I haven't.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And
Simple
so
as
I
that.
think that's why the show is so important, is because we're not sharing our opinions based off of what we heard.
This is real life.
This is what
done
we
lived,
know. This is
baby.
what we've done. This is what we've seen.
Lived experience over
and
here.
so yeah, hey, I could go on and on, but I don't know where we are on time, and if we even gonna read a letter today. But hey, this is
I think it's
good.
the difference between telling and sharing.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
And I think that, some of us are some of you all probably are just so tired of being told what to do and what you should believe and how you should be, because it was fake. Many of them didn't live up to it. They gave you the
That part.
represent. So y'all that wasn't tolerating that. We saw it and we just went off and got far away from it.
Yeah.
Or some people
But we
felt
told
like,
them about themselves.
Yeah, y'all did.
Yeah.
We ain't taking that shit.
yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Y'all
So,
got
Auntie,
letters?
We do have letters, but we didn't read one this week because I needed the advice. The letter was from me.
There you go.
Dear Auntie, I got
Dear
mommy
Auntie,
issues.
sign code.
Sign code, help me. Yeah, I was the letter this week. But I know that y'all can relate to this. I know that this has been such a therapeutic conversation, but it does
Yes.
not just stop here. Okay, LaTanya does this work. So if you need a session, if you need to get your blueprint, okay, she got
Things.
She got all of the
things.
blueprints.
She got all of the things, okay? We're going to make sure that we put your information below so that they can stay connected with you. Carmen, you got any final thoughts?
I don't have any final thoughts, but you guys can find us on Instagram at Dear Auntie Pod. That's Auntie with a Y. And I also want to talk about our Patreon
Come on,
channel.
Patreon.
Yeah, so we
Nice.
have a Patreon that we're getting together. Stay tuned for that. Again, for that information, follow us on Instagram.
We will be there. Come on over. If you have questions, send us a DM and might be answered on our next episode.
Yes.
See you next time.
Bye.